Well, here this morning I'm going to continue taking the mill apart to replace this motor. Got to get the gasoline off of it and the battery disconnected. Alrighty, battery is disconnected. Alright, I got to disconnect the starter cable. Alright, so the starter cable's off. Alright, belts are going to come off next. Needless to say, this pulley here and of course the clutch behind it all has to come off. We're just going to loosen up this bolt here first. I think that should be a 5/8. Yes, it is. There we go, loosened off. Do not want to take it all the way out right now. Want to loosen up off of these and get these off of here first. There you go. And that's the easy way to get the belt off. I'm going to end up pulling the motor out the way it is. That way I can put it together on the bench. Just about forgot something. That would have not been good to leave that ground cable on there. And it looks like 10mm metric. How about that? I'm going to go ahead and loosen this one because I'll have to put the ground cable back on this one. Interesting. So the front pulley is just held on there with a friction fit. You have a bolt right here that's going to be taken out. It goes in on the clutch. So the clutch has a specific amount of travel. So either 11/16 or an 18mm, and both of them are a little bit loose on here. If you go down to the next size, they're too small. So. Alright. There's your clutch and pulley assembly. Being that I'm not taking this apart, I'm not breaking loose the clutch right here with the springs and everything. All this is all set to a specific clearance. It's been working fine, so I am not going to do anything with it. I'm not going to check it. I'm not going to try to reset it. Really don't see the reason to. Might be my famous last words on that subject. So here on the old motor, on the shaft, you have a Woodruff key, and you also have a spacer that's going to have to go on the new one. And not really a Woodruff key, it's just key stock. I'm going to put some light grease on here. Spacer on, goes right like that. The keyway goes right in front of the spacer. Alright, apparently my camera turned off in the middle of it. So I'll just do a quick recap. Grease the shaft, of course I cleaned the clutch and pulleys and everything else. I greased the inside of the bushings, inside your pulleys and everything, slid everything together, put the clutch retaining bolt in with blue Loctite, and put the end bolt in with blue Loctite, tighten them up. Here's your clutch wire. I got to cut this off, put a coupler on that. That'll tie into one of the switch wires. The other switch wire will tie into the yellow right here. As you notice, the white and the green is coupled together, which is what I have to do here. So that is done. So for all intents and purposes, it's ready to go on. There's no oil in this engine yet. I'm going to install the little drain pipe and everything after I put it on the machine. Alrighty, we need to put an hour meter on. And there it is. It's just wrapped. That's tie wrapped, so that's installed. You can actually see where this thing was sitting before. There's some marks on the paint. So I'm just going to line this motor back up to where it was before. Alright, now we put the base bolts in. There we go. And of course, tension has to be just right on this too. I don't have a belt tensioner, which is recommended. In fact, when they send you these belts, this is what it reads. Drive belt tension and drive belt alignment must be correct when replacing drive side blade sheaves, engine sheaves, and or drive belts. Please consult with Timberking service got a phone number to ensure proper complete installation. You must use a belt tension gauge to ensure proper tension. Improper alignment or over-tensioned belts will cause catastrophic engine failure. Alrighty, clutch wire. Well, make sure you keep that wire away from the clutch. I'll end up putting another tie wrap on it over here. And the one with the spade on it is going to tie into the yellow wire. The other ties into the wire coming off the clutch. That way you can make your circuit. So you got two ground wires that got to connect up to this bolt going through the front engine plate. It's right up here above the starter. I got it loose, got it taken out. 10 millimeter. So your clutch eye goes on there, and your main ground wire coming from the battery goes on there. Put both of them on. Flip it back in. It's not wanting to start, don't force it. I had to go to a wrench here to get it started so I could keep that bolt straight so it properly engaged. Now I'm screwing it in by hand now. So be careful about cross threading. Only thing left to hook up here would be your main power wire, which is going to go right up here on top. There we go. I ultimately installed some 1/2-inch jack bolts to the motor mounting plate. It was the most efficient way to be able to adjust the motor alignment and the proper tension on the belt.
Much easier than trying to use any type of straps or any other type of method.
Alrighty, so I was able to get a gauge for setting the tension on the belt. This particular belt, if you go look it up from the manufacturer, it ranges from 15 to 20 psi, pounds per square inch, of stress that they recommend on this belt. Talking to Timberking, they recommend 18 psi with 7/16 of an inch deflection. And you can see I'm just putting my hand on it, you're getting more than 7/16 deflection. So when I tested it, it had an inch of deflection at 12 psi's. Alrighty, the distance from center center is 28.5. Normally this is how you would determine how much deflection you want. And it shows you on the gauge. So essentially you set this gauge, set the top O-ring to the distance between your two pulleys. And then when you go around to the other side, it will show you how much deflection there's supposed to be. In this case, 7/16 of an inch. Take your midpoint where it comes off the pulley here. Comes off the pulley here. It's going to be about right there. And that's where we want to check it at. Alright, the new motor's on, it's running. Needs a little break in, but other than that, we're good to go. So, alrighty. Thank you for joining me.